This is In the Name of Football. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the In the Name of Football podcast. Plenty going on in the Premier League this weekend. Liverpool earning some money for Jurgen Klopp with their 3-1 win at Wolves. We've got Villa earning a late win at home to Palace. There's plenty to discuss also. Spurs grabbing a late win. Nothing really happened at Old Trafford. And we've got the return of the Champions League, and Man City have already won the league. So with that in mind, let's move on to something else, do we? How's the Championship looking? Should we not? As always, I'm joined by Ash. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good. Busy weekend, obviously. Plenty of sport on. You know, backed with the Premier League after the international break. Always a bit of a lull when that happens. Full on schedule again, and nice to see Arsenal getting a win finally at Goodison Park. Last one there, 2017, and I don't know if you remember, but I was actually supposed to go to that game because you managed to sort some tickets for Goodison for that, and I was supposed to go, and I didn't end up going because my train got cancelled. I was fuming because then we won 5-2, and that was the last time we had one before today. But yeah, important 3 points, I'd say today. Nice to see it.
Yeah, very good 3 points actually for Arsenal there today. Always a tricky game to go to, isn't it, Goodison? Especially as, like you say, your recent run of results there has been horrendous, isn't it? And Sean Dyche's first win for Everton last year. James Tarkowski, how you pronounce his name, scored the winner versus you, didn't he? So that was a good win for you guys today, but I'm sure we'll dig into that in a while. But there is only one place to start in there, really. Manchester United 1, Brighton 3. Now, do you know what? I'm going to start this off by, usually I would say that's an embarrassment, but you've got to say a team like Brighton.
That's what you were saying yesterday.
No, I wasn't saying it was an embarrassment.
Yes, you were. You said you didn't care. I don't care if it's Brighton. We should be beating them at home. You said that. To me.
Yeah, that's fair enough. No, I get that. But what I'm saying is that Brighton aren't a pushover anymore. But Manchester United, a team like Manchester United, should be beating teams like Brighton at home if you have any aspirations to do anything in the league. You know, and that's, away, different kettle of fish. At home, you should be beating teams like that, and that's the way it is. And when I say like that, I don't mean it in a disrespectful way. It's just Manchester United are in stature a bigger club. But anyway, right, I'm going to start off with Brighton absolutely played us off the park. And yeah, well, I don't know. I don't really know what else you can say about that. It was like the game last year where we played them away in the terms of that Brighton were very good on the ball, had a game plan, stuck to it, well drilled, and absolutely just ripped us a new one, to be fair with you. There was a few things I weren't particularly happy with, in particular a Brighton player coming out and saying after 10 to 15 minutes they worked out Manchester United's game plan because they didn't start out how they expected them to, and Manchester United were found out within 10 to 15 minutes. And then there was no reaction to De Zerbi changing his way of style of play, so there was no plan B. Why are you changing to a diamond formation in the middle of the field when you've only had 3 days after an international break to implement that plan? Is one. Also, when we've stuck to playing wide in a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-1-2-3, whatever he plays, and then automatically change it, and then we're not giving players like Palestri, we're losing an actual width like we usually play with, and we're not giving players like Palestri a chance. Well, why have you kept them then if you're not going to play them when you've got all these injuries and suspensions and what have you? You've got no Anthony for reasons. You've got no Sancho for reasons. Obviously, we've lost Greenwood on there as well, and that's another attacking player who comes in from the right. But we're not going to play Palestri, and both goals come from down the right, which tore us a new one all day long down the right-hand side. Felt sorry for Dalot. Again, why don't you play Wan-Bissaka when he arguably outplayed the best left winger in the league last year in Matoma? Absolutely didn't even get a kick in the semi-final, I don't think. And at Brighton's place. So there's just a lot to pick up on. A lot of people have picked up on Rashford's tracking back and stuff. And I'm just like, well, hang on a minute. Rashford is just like, is it Rashford a new scapegoat now? Because like the geezer was scoring 30 goals last year and we couldn't get enough of that. But for me, I looked at other things. Cut back goals again. Cutting in from the left-hand side. It was the same against Arsenal. We picked up on it, didn't we? Like how many times there was players free on the edge of the box. And every time there's players out of position. I don't give a shit if Rashford can't be asked to chase back someone from the halfway line or when they're playing out from the back. Okay, there's got to be a point. That shows lack of football intelligence to me when you complain about stuff like that, because you wouldn't want your forwards to keep coming, do you? Because when you counter attack, you need someone up there, right? And then, but when we're conceding cutback goals, you've obviously seen them. And you've got McTominay and Casemiro absolutely nowhere. You've got freaking Adam Lallana stepping over the ball and Welbeck just tapping it in. And McTominay is miles away. Casemiro is miles away. And it's just, what's going on? That's shocking. That's the sort of stuff where you need to be picking up on. Don't be blaming Rashford for not running back on from the 18-yard, like Brighton's 18-yard box. That's not an issue. The issues are when we get, in the final third, in our defensive final third, or the attacking final third, when we can't defend the fucking ball. That's the issue. And being found out so easily. I said it to you yesterday. They went to Arsenal last year and they beat you 3-1. You said yourself the game was dead rubber. I thought it was a little bit earlier. Not late. I knew it was late on in the season, but I thought it meant a little bit more than it did.
No.
But we lost 3-1 yesterday, and they've lost their two best players, arguably, from last season. 6 changes Brighton made from the Newcastle game. 6 changes. Now, you'd expect Manchester United to make 6 changes and win 3-1. Do you know what I mean? Like, Brighton go to Old Trafford, make 6 changes and win 3-1. One, that's massive credit to Brighton. I'm not going to take it away from him. My problems lie with our manager. That is solely at his feet yesterday. I'm fed up of hearing Glazers. And I am not protecting them in any way, shape, or form because they are rubbish owners. And the argument still remains that if you have no discipline from the top and you have no management from the top, and we have said this enough times on the podcast, same with Chelsea, that's a disarray, and it's because of who's running it and how they're running it, because they spent billions under Roman Abramovich, but they had a plan.
Yeah.
And Newcastle, they're spending hundreds of millions now. That'll be billions eventually, but that's being run well. So to me, it does fall down, and I do wonder. I picked up on Match of the Day as well last night. I think Shearer actually said it. You can quite clearly see now that these problems are coming down. Like yesterday, I was full pelt. A fucking ball prick. Get him out of the fucking club. Can't fucking believe it. Fucking prick. And I sat back and I've listened, and it's knee-jerk reactions. We all do that, but it's like you sit back and you actually analyze it. Fuck, he's dealt with a lot, hasn't he? And he's still done better than Arteta in his first 2 seasons. Well, his first season, should we say. He's still the second most successful manager in the Premier League after 40 games. He's got only second behind Pep Guardiola by 10 points in his first 40 games in the Premier League. That's our first defeat at Old Trafford in 12 months. Last defeat at home to Brighton. So you sit there and you think, okay, and then you look at what he's had to deal with. We've had the Greenwood situation. We've had the Maguire situation. We've had the De Gea situation. We've had the Ronaldo situation. Now we've got Sancho. Now we've got Anthony. What the fuck?
Well, yeah, but why is this happening? This is a common theme, and I know you can say, it comes from the top, and yeah, it probably does. But
yeah, but the thing
is Ten Hag creating those issues more than he needs to as well? Why is there so many things all the time? Why is it now Sancho as well? And it's just, and this is classic Manchester United over the past, I don't know how many years. And I literally remember talking, I think, to somebody at this conference, and he was like a player care manager at Manchester United. And so he sort of looked after all the players' needs and all that. And he was just saying they're all just a bunch of prima donnas. They're just, they're bitching about everything. Like they're just like spoiled kids, and I think that's just what happens. There's no, and again, well, I guess it does come from the top, doesn't it? There's no sort of discipline in set. There's no sort of structure. They all turn up and think they can sort of do what they want, and this is how it is. And okay, I know I've praised Manchester United, how they performed last season, and yes, there was times where you did look good, and that you could have at one point looked as though you may have made a chance at the title, just a few results didn't go in your favour. But then equally, in those run of fixtures, you were playing teams you should have been beaten. Like, your away record continues to be poor against the top 7, however many it is. And yeah, just overall, it's just that's the thing that's stopping United from progressing, because it's all just a shit show, really, run from the top. Onana was arguably one of the best goalkeepers in the world last season and stuff like that, and I don't think he's been shocking, but he's not exactly been as good as he was, and it's just like, well, what's the reason for that? And I don't know. It's just, yeah.
But so starting from everything you've just said, like these problems have arisen in the last like five years. Like you had the Pogba incidents with Mourinho, the Jesse Lingard incidents, there was Rashford incidents where he wasn't right. These are players because it's starting from the top. If you've got an owner who they never go to they don't really care. They don't have a hands-on approach to the business. They don't do nothing, do they? Do you know what I mean? Then they don't employ the right people. Woodward, Arnold. Who's Arnold? Who was Richard Arnold? Bloody hell. And then we've got, we talked about Murtock the other week, and I don't want to keep going into it all the time, but then we've got Murtock. Who's Murtock? Look at Arsenal, they've got to do. Look at Pep Guardiola. He's got the guy from Man City, from Barcelona with him. These Bayern Munich, Oliver Kahn, people like that, Rummenigge, they're all people who have been inside the club and they know the club. Who the fuck is Murtock? Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying let's go and get Rio Ferdinand, Paul Scholes or someone like that, but go and get someone like, I don't actually know the status of how well he is nowadays, but look at Van der Sar, look at Peter Schmeichel, look at someone in that ilk who knows the club. I don't know. That's not my job. I'm not the one who runs the club, but you need someone to go in there and get like a proper hands-on, understands the club, bring back that tradition. Okay. He weren't I actually thought he was the right manager. And I think that, again, that a lot of these managers are just getting turned over because of what's happening. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wasn't the greatest manager, but he knew the DNA of the club.
And you could tell the difference. There was a big difference in the team. It was a bit more sort of passion again when Solskjaer was there, and someone who knew what it was. And albeit he didn't always get it right, well, even if he brought Solskjaer back, maybe not necessarily as the head coach.
Not a manager. I'm not saying manager, but bring him in to be he knows a footballer. He said that we should have bought Moyes Caicedo for $5.5 million. He suggested that we signed Haaland years ago when he was playing at Mulder, and then he went to Salzburg, and we could have had him when he went to Dortmund. So the guy knows his football.
Yeah,
and maybe he just and I go back to the biggest thing that I've ever said, and it's the best statement I've ever heard, was when Ralph Rangnick said that Manchester United required open heart surgery. Now, if that is the case, and Eric Ten Hag is producing open heart surgery, then I need to back the fuck off and say, let him do it. If we finish 13th this season, great. Do you know what I mean? So be it. Get rid of your Sanchos. Get rid of your players who don't want to be there. Let's get this club back to where... Because I said it to you the other day, and I've said it on this podcast numerous times. You can have this problem in maybe a year or two's time when Casemiro's 32, 33, still earning 300 plus a week. When Varane's 30, 31, and he's earning 250 plus a week. This problem is not going to be solved within 1 or 2 years. This is going to take a long time.
It's a big thing, really. Like, you've sort of got a lot of players being bought, and it's just completely and utterly not worked out. And this is where I said, about the spending the same amount of money, the recruitment hasn't been anywhere near as good, because you've spent that money. And yes, I know it's over different managers, etc. But even in the last couple of seasons, you spent all that money, and it's not really done much to improve things. And I don't know whether you're just buying the wrong type of profile of player as well. Like the way in which Arsenal sort of went about it, having a core of youth players come through. And for Manchester United, you got your sort of Garnachos, potentially Majebri, obviously nice goal from him. and Kobe Mino hopefully maybe coming through for you as well. But you need that sort of core of players again, because they know what it's like, and they that passion is, it spreads, like Saka, etc. And then you need to try and buy younger players who are hungry and have something to prove. Your likes of Odegaard and Saliba and Gabriel and players like that. That's not the profile of player you're really buying, is it? When you bought Casemiro, as you said yourself, in his 30s, you have that same issue. Arsenal aren't going to have that issue. Rice is essentially that player, but we're not going to have the issue like you are with Casemiro and stuff like that. It's buying the wrong players, and it's not worked out. And arguably, it's not always your fault. Sancho's situation. Obviously, again, going back to the youth products in Greenwood, that situation unfolded, and that's not really the club's fault itself of what happened there. So you've got to. It is difficult, obviously, but that I think the main thing is obviously that profile of player. But bringing in the right players, Anthony now, what's going to happen with him? The £100 million investment, another one that potentially we don't know what's going to happen. It's just a lot of that happening, isn't it? Varane, yes, good player, but he's injured all the time. And again, you said about his age. The only sort of real player I'm thinking of is like Lisandro Martinez. And I mean, he got completely sold on that Pascal Gross goal yesterday. And
but he shouldn't even. But going on that, he shouldn't even be in that situation, because Pascal Gross has just run off 2 central midfielders. That shouldn't be happening, Ash. That should not be happening. And I'm just sick and tired of going on about the same situation week in, week out. Eventually, it will all come to head, and ultimately, that will probably end up with Ten Hag being relieved of his duties again, because they haven't matched what Manchester United want them to do. This is where you don't have the right people in touch with the club. They want rules and boundaries set, which Ten Hag said in his press conference the other day. They wanted me to come in and set rules and have these strict rules, because there hasn't been any discipline within the club for the last few years. He's done that, and big players are now paying the price. Ronaldo, Maguire's obviously, I don't know whether that's a disciplinary issue or what, but now you got Sancho.
That's another example, isn't it?
Manchester United, Manchester United supported Sancho, right? They sent it away 3 months in the middle of a season, which is wrong, in itself. Okay, the situation is correct. They should do it and look after the player, but sending someone off for 3 months in the middle of the season just to get fit and stuff like that, well, that's madness. Comes back, and then he then does that to the manager when he's like, if I'm Sancho, I'm not sitting there going, oh, don't believe everything he says. I'd be like, right, yeah, is that why you dropped me? Is it? Brilliant. The next 7 days, I'm going to be smashing out. I'm going to be playing for this shirt, but he doesn't.
Well, yeah,
that's not the attitude. So cry off.
I think that's a difficult one to judge, though, because you don't know the full details of the situation. Let's look at Dele Alli, for example, and his huge shot perform, and there was so many reasons behind that personally, which you didn't know about. That could be the exact same with Sancho, because we have already heard about some of the things that he's had to deal with in his personal life. So I think that's hard to say. I don't think you can just sort of make that outright conclusion on what's happened when the full details aren't.
No, but it's also been it's a theme where you see it's been lots of report of him being late at Dortmund and fined, and Gareth Southgate saying he wasn't picked in the Euros when it was the Euros when he played against Ukraine. He had a really good game, and people questioned why he didn't play. And
same thing with Dele Alli, though. At the time,
he wasn't being picked because of his training performances.
It's the exact same thing with Dele Alli at the time, wasn't it? Yeah, maybe that's so. Yeah, maybe he has not been up to standard in training. But okay, fair enough. That could be the fact of the matter, but maybe the reasoning behind it isn't because he's like a prick or anything, or he's doing it on purpose. There's a lot of issues behind it, like we saw with Dele Alli. We don't know. Maybe Sancho is just being a knob, but we don't know. So I think you can't outright say, like, Sancho, personally, like, oh, he's just, it's his whole fault down to that, because we don't know the situation. We don't know the stuff he's been through,
We don't, but then also people can't sit there and just say, oh, Ten Hag's wrong.
The bar would be definitive either way. It's down to them to deal with it. They know the ins and outs. That's the fact of the matter.
Exactly. So Manchester United have given the support, and now they're obviously saying, well, what more can we do? This is the way I see it, and he should have gone on and done something about that. So, but ultimately, what I'm saying is that because Manchester United want him to come in, set these rules, set these standards, do this, do that. And also, we'll give you this money to spend, but then also you've got to mix your team and do all this sort of garbage. But because you had such a good season last season, we're now going to suffer, because what will happen is they'll probably finish out of the Champions League, and ultimately that will result in him getting fired.
Yeah,
because that's what's going to happen, and it will be eat, rinse, repeat, sleep, whatever you call it, in sleep, and it will just be the same. The other problem, just quickly before we move on, this is my next thing. What will happen if United get bought? This will happen. My words. This isn't going to be one of the things where they go straight in, they get bought out, and then they go and buy all these players, and we turn it around, because we've seen that at Chelsea. We will be buying players on 250, 400 grand a week, buying mega transfer fees, because everyone knows we've got the money, and then all of a sudden you're left with another scenario where unless we get the right people in to actually run the club underneath the owners, you'll end up with players running around with 400 grand a week contracts and don't give a shit again. And then you've got the same situation. That'll be the next thing if it's not done correctly.
And it all just comes back to, we've said it countless times in the podcast, the people higher up, your directors of football, technical directors, etc., whoever's in charge of that side, bringing the players in, sort of bringing that synergy and aligning the values within the club. That's what is the main problem, I think, and that's what filters down to the pitch. Evidently, as you quite rightly said, that's not anything there with United. There's no one there who knows the club inside out, and that's fundamentally what's wrong. Yeah, that's how it is. Again, same with the transfers as well. Not bringing in the right player, not bringing the Manchester United type players. I do think once Højlund comes in properly and he plays again and that gets settled, I think that'll be all right. Obviously, unlucky him not to get his first goal. But yeah, I mean, we've still got to give credit to Brighton, of course. I know you did mention that, but again, it's a classic Roberto De Zerbi performance. Very strong against big teams. They go at them, and the quality of the finishing and the attack and moves was brilliant. Obviously, nice, lovely little step over from Adam Lallana for Welbeck's goal. Welbeck coming back to haunt United at Old Trafford again. Obviously, loves a celebration at Old Trafford, doesn't he? Like he did for Arsenal in the FA Cup. I think I mentioned that on that Parlay Sports video we did. After that, obviously I mentioned as well, Pascal Gross sent Lisandro Martinez completely the wrong way. He didn't have a clue where that ball was. And then João Pedro, well, I mean, what a fantastic finish that was. Tariq Lamptey coming in as well, a couple of assists for him. Credit to Brighton, that's what they're going to be. They're going to go out, they're going to get goals, and sometimes it won't work out, the West Ham game, but then because they're attacking prowess, they more than likely are going to pick up those wins. So all credit to them, it's very entertaining. But let's round that Manchester United bit off then. Ten Hag in or out?
No, he's got to stay, and they've got to give him time. they've got to. But the thing is, mate, they won't. It'll be one of them things. If the way the club is at the minute, you can easily see them going to Bayern +4. Easy. They've got Bayern Munich on Wednesday +4. Right?
Is it the Allianz?
Yep. And then they've got to play. And then they've got to play Burnley, which is never easy for United. Yep, they never do well there. Right, and then before you know it, then 3 or 4 defeats in the trot, and then you're thinking, I'll tell you, mate. I said it in this group chat yesterday. I'm going Bayern +6. Well, on Wednesday
I don't know.
night.
This is the classic, though, isn't it? You think Manchester United aren't doing well, and all of a sudden they just pull a result out of nowhere, and then that sparks a run of form, and it's like, oh, United are fine. I don't know. They just always do it somehow.
Yeah, I know that, but anyway,
you're not wrong to think that, though, because it is a bit of a shambles, especially at the back. Just conceding goals left, right, and centre at the minute, aren't they?
Well, that's no surprise, especially when he's playing Wan-Bissaka right back, and then Dalot left back, and then the next week he's playing Dalot right back and Reguilon left back, and then Lindelof's playing there with Martinez, and then it's Maguire and Evans, how it was at the end, and then you've got you need to settle it down. We've got a new goalkeeper. They need to adjust to all this. That needs to be. Whatever it is, whether I know we've got the injuries, but if you're going to do it, and this is what drives me crazy, the guy loves balance, but then when he has the chance to have balance, he doesn't use it. Why change the whole formation yesterday? Just put fucking Palestri on the right, mate. Just give him a go. Giza starts for Uruguay, but he doesn't play for Manchester United. Okay, then. So it needs to be Onana, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Martinez, and Reguilon. And I'm going to say that best player on the pitch yesterday for United, Reguilon, absolutely brilliant. Anyway, enough on United. I can't be asked. This doing my freaking head in. It's just.
Key theme. I feel like you say this every week at the minute.
It depresses me. It literally just depresses me. Right, let's hammer
only the
through
listeners could see some of the messages that you sent me at the time when you're going off on one.
Because it's knee jerk, isn't it? It's just. And the thing is that it's just you're watching it and you're just like, how is it? The most frustrating thing I find, and I said it the other week, and I don't want to go on, but I'm going to, Wolves, the manager's there for 3 days. You can't have a new manager bounce for 3 days because there's no games to go on. You haven't had a poor run of results. They come to Old Trafford. They look a better team. They've got a game plan. They know what they're doing. We didn't look like we had a game plan that game. You go to Spurs, manager's been there 6 weeks, loses the best player, still had a game plan, looked like they knew what they were doing. We played against Forest 2-0 down in 5 minutes. If that's a game plan, right, we're going to go 2-0 down in 5 minutes, lads. We'll win 3-2. Then I want to know how you do that. Right. And then again, don't forget they did go down to 10 men in that game. Right. And then also you go to Arsenal, and it's probably the best game we've had where we've actually had a game plan. And you can say, right, okay, we're going to play up from the back, blah, blah, blah. Whether Arsenal just went on at that day and they allowed us to do that. And that could ultimately, Arteta might have got it wrong that day. Who knows? You know what I mean? But then you get yesterday's result again. And again, no game. Well, he's gone with a new game plan. No fault from trying. Apparently, we looked absolutely amazing for the first 15, 20 minutes. And then Brighton sussed us out and changed it, and we didn't do nothing about it. So anyway, let's crack on.
Great.
Let's crack on. Arsenal won, Everton 0. Like you say, first result at Goodison for a while since 2017, I think you said. Great goal for Lisandro Trossard, who I slagged off the other week. Maybe I should start slagging Man United players off.
No, you do that enough, I think. It doesn't work for you. Great goal. Yeah, I mean, needed it. It was a tough game as always. Everton obviously really not playing well, but when you've got a bogey team, you don't play somewhere that's going to be playing on your mind. Flashbacks to last season where Everton were in a similar situation, just hadn't won a game for ages, not performing well at all. Dyche comes in and gets that win. It wasn't the best of games, in all honesty. The big news before that was Aaron Ramsdale was dropped and David Raya came in. And again, nothing too much for Raya to deal with. I'm not really going to judge it on that, but perhaps that is the issue of first. Getting that clean sheet, which is pretty huge. Which again, Raya wasn't at hand to really too much of that. So it remains to be seen what will happen there. But yeah, first 15, 20 minutes we looked all right. Had that goal which was disallowed.
Weird one that.
Yeah, tight one again. The angles, who's on and on, and there was the deflection off from Gabriel after he hit it. It's just difficult.
Did you hear the debate in the studio on Sky Sports on this?
I wasn't really paying too much attention to what they were saying.
I was like, they're bang on actually, because it's like, they give it offside because it's not a deliberate move by Beto to play the ball there. Right. Well, Gabriel didn't mean to pass the ball to Nketiah anyway.
Yeah.
Because he's gone to go right. So hang on a minute. So Beto's not intentionally closing the ball down?
Yeah, that's I don't really get that.
So look at it right. Look at it properly. Beto's closing the ball down. He's intentionally gone to close that ball down.
Yeah.
So
he's influencing the play, isn't he?
Gabriel has gone to pass the ball to his right. And because Beto has intentionally closed the ball down, his deflection, which he intentionally causes because he moved his leg, it didn't hit him. He moved his leg to block the pass. It's gone to Nketiah. That goal, now I think Martinelli may be offside. And that's what I thought they were going to go. I thought it was going to be Martinelli.
Yeah.
We'd have another one of them dodgy. We'd have another one of them dodgy freaking line decisions, which the line for Nketiah was bad enough. But to me, I was like, No, that goal stands because the whole move's intentional. It doesn't matter how you play it out, whether it was the deflection, whatever. He's intentionally closed them down. Simple.
Yeah.
And it's not like Gabriel has actually gone to play the ball to Nketiah, because if he had, and it just took a slight deflection, then fair enough, but he hasn't. That's when you've got players.
It's just always happening, isn't it? You've got contentious decisions. No one really knows what the rules are properly. It's a difficult one. Fortunately, it hasn't actually affected the result in the end. But yeah, really, really dull game. I was getting quite frustrated, really. It just seemed we were so slow. There was sort of lack of intensity and tempo throughout. And I was just thinking, come on, lads, like, do we want to win the game? Yeah, it was just it was doing my head in a bit. But, you've got to take the 1-0 wins away there. Again, you take it and run. Clean sheet as well, as I said, just our second one this season. So yeah, you got to go into those away games, grind them out, and that's what happens. So take it. Fantastic finish from Trossard, and yeah, back in the Champions League as well this week, which is good. Not been in there for a while, so that'll be pretty fun before a huge North London derby next weekend.
Yeah, it did make me laugh, and Gary Neville touched on it, and I think people might have took it a little bit wrong what he was trying to say, and I think he's actually being quite clever, and I'm actually going to give Arteta credit here, which will shock you.
Yeah, I'm going to say, you feeling all right?
Yeah. I think he's had a word with the referees or the PGMLO, whatever you want to say, and go, so when we say speed the game up, how long are you talking? Because them corners today, it was literally like they were like putting the ball down. Right. The fans start booing. We'll kick the ball now. And Gary Neville picked up on it, and it was like they literally, and it was like they questioned Trossard at the end. He was like, yeah, we know they're good on set plays. So, and they've got tall players. So it's like a double game plan. Like, right, okay, we know how long we can dindle on the ball before we get booked, roughly 5-6 seconds. Hold the ball in the corner. And then, like,
what saying, yeah.
Right, now we'll play it. Right? Being a little bit, savage.
Well, yeah, if they say if you take longer than X amount of time, they do it up to that point and then take the corner, because we were taking the short ones every time. That was an interesting.
He literally just held the ball, didn't he? And literally just held, and then kicked it short. And I was just like, and then also it kind of like unsettles the Everton back line as well, because they're like, well, what's going on? Like, are they going to swing it in? Because you've also got an outswinger player. Every time they've done it as well, they had an outswinger who could take the outswinger, like a Vieira, and then they also had Odegaard. Yeah, so they could do either, and you're like, oh, so it was quite clever, I thought. Whether that was done, well, it was done intentionally. I don't know about the whole 7-second thing, but I'm pretty certain it was just like.
I know what you're trying to say, yeah.
I did notice a little couple of things this week of like, which makes me laugh. We always seem to get a load of influx of stuff happens from new rules, and then you get into after the international break, it starts calming down. Klopp doing his nut yesterday in the Liverpool game, and he's like, I'm like, what? He's doing his nut, not booking him. There was several things today. Sean Dyche doing his nut, no booking. It's all starting to come a little bit. Okay, we're back to this, are we? The way we can do what we want. Do you know what I mean?
Just a bit more of a free for all.
On the game, though, I thought, like Arsenal, absolutely superb performance from them, really. Playing nice high football, constant pressure wasn't there from Arsenal. Just, you know what I mean? Like, just trying to get that break.
There wasn't, we lacked a bit of sort of cutting edge, though, in the final third, I think. There wasn't a lot of chances we created, and Nketiah struggled to get involved. I think at one point he had, mid in the second half, he'd only had 8 touches in the game. Saka again still not looking quite as threatening as he has done previously. So that for me, it still feels like we haven't, got out of first gear sort of thing. We're still sort of holding back. There's not enough. Maybe that's sort of what we're trying to do. Maybe be a bit more compact. As I touched on, we had conceded a lot of goals. The goalkeeper change. Maybe Arteta's been focusing on, especially going at Goodison Park, perhaps playing a little bit more solidly. Defensively structured. Now we've got the typical back four back in place. But yeah, it still feels like we're lacking that little bit of extra spark going forward. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens, see if it will come if we start doing a bit more free flowing again. Maybe Martinelli might be out. Obviously, he went off injured, so I'm not too sure how serious that is. But yeah, overall, I've got to be happy with the win. It's got to, again, as I said, when you're playing a team like that and you've struggled, you just need to get those 3 points. Everton, from an Everton point of view, it's still no wins, only 1 point. And a lack of goals again. They to be honest, they didn't really create anything, did they? There wasn't anything really where I thought they're going to score here or anything really like that. So yeah, I think there's some sort of worry going forward there. Pressure on Sean Dyche, I think people expected him to sort of improve now that he's sort of had a full summer. But again, just for carrying on from last season, really, just nothing up top, just a complete lack going forward.
Yeah, it is a bit of a concern for Everton. If I was an Everton fan, I'd be a little bit concerned. But the good news is, obviously, then they're going to get the takeover sorted out. But they have spent a lot of money, and it's a bit of a weird one, with their takeover, and they've wasted money again. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes for them. I still think they'll do something. They'll, like if Calvert-Lewin comes back and he starts firing again. Wasn't impressed with Beto today at all. There is a lot of worries for Arsenal, for Everton going forward, isn't there? And on Arsenal, at the end of the day, you're still complaining you're winning games. That's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. Right? We've dropped points in one game, and we still don't feel like we're playing our best. So we'll take it. But I mean, it's just so difficult because you've got to win basically every game because City are just ridiculous and they just continue to win. And yeah, that's the thing. That's what it takes now. The standards are set so high. That's the sort of the pressure you have to put on the team. In years gone by, draw here or there wouldn't be the end of the world. But now it's like every single drop point really does matter because the amount of the points tally that City have been getting, it means you literally have to win near enough every game.
Yeah, exactly. You're spot on, and that would lead us nicely into the Man City West Ham game. To be fair with you, again, now 5 wins from 5, which is a bit of a concern and a bit of a worry. And this is the reason why I say Man City have won the league already, because they start slow, and they're not. They're just relentless.
Not even had De Bruyne; he's been injured.
And Haaland now 7 goals in 7 games. The geezer could have had 5 yesterday. Areola was absolutely unbelievable.
At the start, I mean, triple saves, blocks, some pretty crazy defending and goalkeeping there.
Haaland could have had 4 or 5 easily, and you
missed
wouldn't
a bit of a sitter, didn't he?
Yeah, he is human after all. But yeah, 3-1 from City, obviously going 1-0 down to a James Ward-Prowse goal. Lovely diving header from him, to be fair with you, but then City just turned it on, didn't he?
That's the part, as you've said. Why United should have bought him? Why have they not bought somebody like Ward-Prowse?
Yep.
Perfect profile of player.
Yeah. I'm not going back into United because you're starting to get me angry again, with you? But yeah, 3-1 for City. Obviously Jeremy Doku, another player. We're going to spend nearly close on 100 million to Anthony, and they go and buy him for 60 million. It makes you wonder.
Then this is quite a big thing, isn't it? Because you have a lot of players. You've bought a lot of players, and it's not worked out. Whereas Man City, they'll buy somebody like that, a winger, and it almost seems to work out straight away. And that's what happens. And again, that's sort of coaching and buying the right players. And that's just why Man City is so good. It's not just because of the football they play, but the player profiles. They lose Mahrez, and as soon as they bring Doku in, and he's making an impact from the off, things like that. And I think that's the main thing. Julian Alvarez, again, 2 assists against West Ham, and what start of the season he's had. And you haven't, as I just said, they haven't even got De Bruyne playing. So
that was another one, and again another one who United wanted. Julian Alvarez, 15 million, didn't do it. Stupid. But yeah, obviously Haaland did get his goal in the end, and Bernardo Silva, that was a lovely goal, absolutely well taken. And Haaland could have easily tucked that in and been offside, but that was a lovely goal from Bernardo Silva. Great little, I think it was Rodri, I want to say, who just delicious little chip over the top for Bernardo Silva. Lovely little finish. Yeah, 3-1. City won the league, and I can say that because Arsenal won about 4 times last year. So, yeah, it just keeps going on for Man City, doesn't it? I mean, Guardiola even had a month off. See you later, mate. I'm going on holiday. You look after the side. And we did mention
that.
Yeah, okay. Yep. I'm just going to go back. I'm just going to go onto this one again. I don't know how to say it, but Jurgen Klopp earning his coin again. 1-0 down against Wolves. Wolves absolutely battering Liverpool, taking them to the cleaners. They were. I thought I was watching the game and I thought Wolves were going to win that. I couldn't see a way back. Liverpool were just.
They were lucky not to go 2 down, weren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, early on, obviously they got the first goal, and then it wasn't too long after they could have got the other. Pedro Neto down that left-hand side was tearing them apart, really.
Yeah, but then he earns his keep. Few changes at half time, still not working. Changing the tactics, they start getting back into the game. Takes off some players. You think, oh God, why is he doing that for? And then they go and score 2 goals after the subs. And well taken goals at that as well. You can't exactly say they were lucky. Again, Jurgen Klopp has changed the game for Liverpool, the same as he did in the Newcastle game.
Yeah, and Salah as well. Only scored 2 goals this season, but I mean, again, 2 assists, got 4 in total. He's just so pivotal to that team. If they would have lost him, I think they knew how bad it would have been, and I think that's why they rejected those crazy bids, because they knew if we get rid of Salah here, we are fucked. Like 6 goal contributions in 5 games. He makes the attack tick, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, Liverpool getting the 3 points. I think they're now 2nd or 3rd in the league. I know it's early days, but they're sitting there 3rd in the league. Still unbeaten. As well as yourself,
wins in a
Spurs
row.
and Man City. Yeah, they're on a bounce, and the only thing I would say is they haven't really. Have they not? They played Chelsea, didn't
they? Played Chelsea, Newcastle away, but they're still the ex-place sort of some of the, Arsenal, City, not including United in that list.
No, not including United in that list. Don't do that. Well, I suppose you can, because it's like a derby game, but for me, it's we'll be lucky if we don't concede 7 against them at Old Trafford this year. But yeah, obviously, hats off to Jurgen Klopp and the keep. That's fine. Let's crack on though. Let's keep going. Obviously, we'll quickly touch upon it because it's easy to do. Fulham getting the 1-0 win against Luton. I think it was it Vinicius getting the goal for them, or
Carlos Vinicius.
Apparently, he hasn't even come on. He hasn't even played any time for Fulham this year. Just comes on back and scores after like 5 minutes. There's nothing there for Luton, is there? It's looking a bit.
It's worrying. 2 goals. 10 conceded, even though Everton aren't even that much better than that, only conceded 1 less. But yeah, I mean, Luton, as we expected, it's not much optimism. And Fulham, I think they're just going to be sort of similar again, sort of your mid-table team. They're going to beat teams around them. They're going to be the best of the rest sort of thing. And then, I mean, they took a point off Arsenal. So yeah, they'll be solid again. No worries for them. Decent side now under Marco Silva.
And there's a player with a bit of DNA who I would have gone for United. João Palhinha. What a player. What an absolute baller. 60 million. Do you know what I mean? But we went for Mason Mount for 55. Like, come on, man. Do you know what I mean? Do your homework, Christ's sake. So that was a good win for Fulham. A good win for Fulham there. Obviously, Luton, like we said, just covered that. But, Aston Villa. 1-0 down at home to Palace, and then 87th minute is his name Durian, the Colombian. What a goal!
Wow, that was unbelievable.
What a finish! Obviously, let's say Palace, that was a great goal, to start them on the way, and they could have had a few decent chances to end the game for them. To be fair, as well, they could have been out of sight before Villa decided to turn up.
Edouard seems to be hitting a bit of form. He's always a pretty solid forward, isn't he? Might be a cheeky little fantasy football player.
I was thinking the same thing, to be fair with you. So obviously we've also got obviously the goal from Durian was absolutely class. Douglas Luiz with an excellent penalty, and then on the counter attack, some beautiful football, and Leon Bailey just finishing it off for him at the back post. Easy stuff for Villa, and no surprise under Unai Emery continuing the following form from last season. Really, that they didn't start off that particularly well with the hammering at Newcastle, but you know, they're
That
getting
wasn't
back
a
to it, aren't they?
5-1 game, and yeah, they are obviously losing. Mings is always going to be pretty massive, but you know they
Yeah,
have got quality there. Watkins, although he didn't end up getting a goal or an assist against Palace, but he was very influential. Won the penalty. He was unlucky a couple of times. Obviously top quality player there, and Diaby, you know, he's settling quite nicely. He obviously was unlucky not to score his goal. That was disallowed. And then he managed to assist Leon Bailey too. So they've got talent there. You know, Zaniolo, Bailey, as I just said. And if this Duran, who's doing well, I didn't really know about him. He's only 19, but that's his second Premier League goal already. You know, they've got some very, very talented players. The Tielemans ball in the lead up to the penalty as well. By the way, unbelievable pass. He started on the bench. So, you know, Villa do have the quality players in there. And yeah, I think they have a good chance of pushing for Europe. Maybe not necessarily top four as I was predicting. But yeah, they'll be up.
they'll be thereabouts.
Yeah,
They'll be thereabouts.
yeah, around the top 7, I reckon.
They'll finish high. They'll finish higher than United.
Maybe, yeah.
They will. They absolutely will. But yeah, no, like we say, they've got some really good, exciting players, good young players as well. Ollie Watkins, Leon Bailey, like you say, Tielemans. There's got some really, really good players there. So again, no doubts for them. And I forgot the guy's name who they bought. You just said it, but they bought him in the summer, didn't they? For a bit of money. You just said his name, mate. To be fair with you,
DRB.
Yeah, and he looks a threat as well for him, doesn't he? So yeah, but
Sure.
yeah, nothing wrong with Villa. They'll be right tidy. They'll be up there, like we just said. Another one of the teams who we thought would be in the relegation zone, and rightly so. Sheffield United losing 2-1 at Spurs, unluckily in the last
Pretty
couple of minutes of the game again. Yeah, again, talk of Chris Wilder coming back to Sheffield United, which I think would be a bit of a mistake. But yeah, you know, nice to see Richarlison score for Spurs. You know, coming out with some of his comments this week. Okay, no, and then Kulusevski scoring the winner in the 98th.
That was a good finish, to be fair.
Yeah, they were both good goals, and the goal from Sheffield United in particular was really good as well, wasn't it? You know, he absolutely
Good
smashed
finish,
that.
yeah. I mean,
yeah, great.
Did you see the celebrations though? Obviously, you hear Richard Keys bloody going on when Arsenal got that late win at Fulham and all the celebration police out about Arsenal. Did you see the bloody reaction they had when they beat them? I know, yeah, 2 late winners, yeah, you're going to be happy, but they were literally running around kind of as if they were actually winning the league. Like,
But who
crazy.
listens to Richard Keys? Richard Keys.
Oh yeah, I know he's a twat.
He's a man chimp, isn't he? I mean, look at the geezer. He's got hairs coming out of his every single piece of his body. But the geezer's an absolute mongoose. You know, I remember when Man United fans and probably me and you, we criticised Jurgen Klopp. Remember when they come back and drew 2-2 against West Brom and they went up to the Kop? But sometimes that actually, I could see United doing it. I could see United like now being up against how we are. Yeah, you know, if we know, and I think half the time that's just quickly going back into that. That's half the problem. You don't see a togetherness.
Yeah,
you know, if we know, I'm going to the Palace game. I think it's the next home game we've got in the league. I'm going to the Palace game, and if we're like 2-0 down and we get a 2-2 draw. Fucking right, I want to see them fucking players fucking put an effort in.
Yeah, obviously. And you celebrate.
Right.
I'm saying I'm not necessarily hating on it as such. I mean, I look slightly over top, but whatever. But I mean, Arsenal get all the stick for it.
Spurs have now won 4 games on the trot. They didn't even win 3 on the trot last year.
No,
they didn't win 3 on the trot last year.
No, it's fair enough. You know, Tottenham might have got to give credit to Postecoglou, as you quite rightly said. You know. Beforehand losing their best player, and they're on a run, and you know, although it was only Sheffield United, they have still managed to snatch that win, and that's going to lift morale, that's going to boost the team momentum and keep them on that winning momentum and that winning streak. So yeah, no, like credit to them, and if they can get Richarlison actually on form again, with the likes of Son and Kulusevski, Maddison, etc., they could have a pretty good team. That's what I mean. The North London derby literally is going to be an exciting watch. I think.
Yeah,
especially at home. more over the last couple of years, I've always backed Arsenal. I'm a little bit more worried this time. I think they are doing well. So that'll be a cracking game because Tottenham, fantastic start. Got to give credit where credit's due. Postecoglou is sort of set the team up pretty well. I think they're just playing how they probably should be. They're having way more possession at the minute. 70% possession against Sheffield United. They're trying to control that game a lot more. Whereas, your likes of Conte sort of not necessarily maybe being a bit direct, hitting on the counter as such, but I think it's really sort of worked out well. And that's why Maddison's working out well in that sort of number 10 role. He's really allowing to find like Solomon and Kulusevski and Son, and that's exactly what they need.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. Maddison's been, and that's another one the other day I put in the Man United group chat. I mean, come on, lads. Mount for 55 or Maddison for 40. And then you could go, oh, yeah, but then you've already got your attacking player in Bruno Fernandes, where you get a lot more out of Bruno in the number 8 than you would in the 10. Anyway, back to Man United, I can put them anywhere, can't I?
You love it. Man United this, Man United that. I thought you wanted to stop talking about them.
Yeah. Newcastle with a 1-0 win. A 1-0 win. Penalty from Callum Wilson. Get back on the winning ways. They rested quite a few players because obviously they got Milan in the midweek in the San Siro. I was really happy that the second penalty claim was denied because you've seen them given and you think, come on, that's crazy. Like I think a player headed it down, it come off the top of Mbueno's head and then it's like hit his hand and you're like, oh mate, if we're not going to start doing this.
Yeah, that's what they're doing this year. They are being a lot more lenient, like the Romero one against United.
Yeah, he did originally give it, and I was like, well, you can't because his arm's not unnatural. Because okay, right, it's not given because of the deflection off his head apparently, but then his arm's not natural. It's like the ball's coming from behind, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like he's come from behind, and he said, so he doesn't even see where he is. So to give a penalty there would have been extremely harsh. A 1-0 win, though, for Newcastle going into the Champions League. I think, obviously, what has actually happened with them regarding like the recent run of results, they needed that, didn't they? They needed that going into the Champions League. Yeah.
Just lift it a little bit more, get the confidence back. And it has been a tricky start. They've had some tough fixtures, obviously. Man City away, Liverpool. Definitely not been great for them, but I think they're going to have a better run now. I think they will sort of get back to sort of where they were. They are going to start picking up a lot more points, I think. But yeah, massive win against Brentford. We're not an easy side, but you would be, if you're Newcastle, you should be beating them at St James's Park, shouldn't you? And they did, keeping a clean sheet as well. So that's probably going to be a lot better, just keeping a little bit more defensively sound. Massive win for Newcastle.
Yeah, absolutely huge. Obviously, Bournemouth, the last game of which we haven't covered. Bournemouth 0, Chelsea 0. You got anything to say about
that? No, just pretty dire, really, pretty dull. Not many chances at all. Sterling a little bit unlucky at times. Nicholas Jackson not quite working out for him, which I didn't think it would. There was a lot of hype around him, and yes, he is still young, and yes, his movement has been good, and yes, he may end up being a top good striker, but not anywhere at this point. He's not clinical enough in front of goal, and it's basically exactly what I sort of thought from Chelsea. It's too soon. Yes, I think you can start to see a little bit more of improvement, but they're not going to be there. They're too far out from the project. They've still got loads of players injured. They still haven't got a set team got together. They're all young players too, which maybe it takes time to sort of work out. But yeah, there was a point where I thought Bournemouth were going to score. They were piled on that pressure, and to be fair to them, they did hold on. Thankfully for me as well, because I had Gusto and Sanchez in my fantasy team, so a double clean sheet for them. So I was like, yeah, if it ends 0-0, I'm more than happy with that.
I didn't. I actually just generally thought you'd go, no, shit game. But that's what. No, there was, like you said, like Sterling. Yeah, bits and bobs from him. Cole Palmer looked okay when he came on. But I just think there's just it's a similar situation again where the board will probably become impatient with Pochettino, and they shouldn't be, because he's got to try and gel so many players. It's the same situation as Potter. It's the same situation. And this comment here, I'm going to credit the group chat in our football group chat here. This is brilliant. Meanwhile, Enzo Fernandez has more years on his contract than goals, assists, and wins combined since he joined Chelsea.
He's a central midfielder.
Yeah, but it's just funny. But it's even wins, mate. Even wins is in there. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, fair enough. The wins thing is a bit different.
But yeah, anyway, that is the week up for the Premier League. Have you checked the fantasy to see where we are with the fantasy at the minute?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's quite properly updated, like fully. But we have got quite a clear picture. I believe, let me just check. I believe that Matt Jessup is actually going to be the winner. He's having a cracking season. Don't know how he's doing it. It's actually starting to piss me off a little bit. But yeah, congrats to him. Doing very well. And he's still got Botman to come in once that updates as well. He's got Botman in his bench. Estupinan didn't play, so he's going to get that. So I believe Matt Jessup is probably going to be the game week winner. It hasn't really updated, but yeah, and he's sitting top of the standings as well. So fair play to Matt. I've moved up to third at the minute, so I'm pretty happy with that. Decent week for me, as I said. Those double clean sheet for Sanchez and Gusto. Saliba clean sheet finally delivering for me. And unfortunately, I had João Pedro on the bench, not going to come on. But yeah, looking pretty interesting. Don't know where you are. I'm going to have to scroll quite far down, I think. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I realised you had a bit of a shocker because you've got Leno, Trippier and Colwill on the bench who had 6, 8 and 6 points, and they're not going on. So that's a lot of points left on the bench there for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it should be interesting. Looks quite competitive. The gap at the top is there was a couple of people running away. It seemed Matt's got a fairly big point, but it's starting to close up. So it's quite nice and competitive, and hopefully everyone keeps sticking around because we've got these wonderful updates for you. Got the shout out on the podcast. What more could you want for the incentive to keep going on and not just forget about it midway through the season?
Well, I've not really got a lot to say about it because I do keep an eye on it, but I just hold faith in stupid players. I just need to sort myself out and just start ditching some players who I shouldn't really be ditching, but I will. Or I should be ditching, but you know what I mean. But
that's like I was thinking that with Rashford. I was thinking I keep leaving him in, thinking sure he's going to hit a run of form.
Yeah,
but I was like, I'm not trusting United players. He's out. I've taken him out for next week already. Even though you got some fixtures you should do all right in, nah. See you later. Not trusting United anywhere at the minute.
Yeah, you're right. Right, let's quickly end this week's episode with a quick little roundup of some Champions League action. Looking forward to the Champions League action. We're not going to go too in depth with that because we're running on for nearly an hour again, nearly half that with Manchester United. I do apologise. We are going to seriously cut that out.
This is why the episodes are long, because you have your big old run. It's like half hour. Right? We spent about 10 minutes on the Arsenal game, and it was bloody United.
Yeah, but it's always easier to talk about a team and get through it so quickly when there's not a lot happening, right?
Yeah, and you are shit. So.
I'm waiting for what's his name to rock up, Russell Brand to rock up at Old Trafford tomorrow to be our new right winger. Anyway, moving on, we got Milan versus Newcastle. Milan coming off the back of a 5-1 derby loss, I believe it was at 5-1 in the end.
Yeah, 5-1 in the end. I mean, Inter are just insane, but that's not good. That's not good for Milan. They had a promising start to the season, 3 wins from 3. So I think that's going to be a tough task at the San Siro, isn't it? Sandro Tonali will be hoping that he's fit for that one. Maybe he was left off. It didn't make the squad for that game at the weekend. With that in mind, I'm not too sure Newcastle are going to get a win there. I think that's going to be incredibly tough. Big first Champions League night for them since 2003, 2004 season, I believe. I think Milan should get the win there.
I'm going for a Newcastle win. I think Newcastle will go there. They'll have a game plan. They know how to defend. When they want to sit back and they play it like that, they can sit back. They've got players who can ping the ball around. Isaac on the break. They've got people on the break like Anthony Gordon. They know how to break teams, and I think they could sit back and just they could get something there. And I don't think Milan it's a tough one, mate, because I think like I know you're a big advocate of Italian football
It's
nowadays, but
probably why I'm going for it.
yeah, I think Italian football isn't where I know Inter got to the final last year, but I just don't think Italian football. You look at some of the players who Milan have signed, and they are like Loftus-Cheek, Pulisic. These are players who they're not really cutting it in England, so you shouldn't really be touching them anyway. But
Yeah,
that's
I
my
wouldn't disregard it completely. I think Napoli, Milan, and Inter all got into the knockouts last season. The rest of the Italian teams did well elsewhere too. Roma get into Europa League final, Fiorentina get into Conference League final. So there is a lot of talent there. I think out of the rest of them, maybe Serie A is one of the more stronger ones. But yeah, no, interesting to see. You're going for a Newcastle win, then I'm going for the Milan win. Who else have we got in the English teams?
We have Man City are at home to. It's not that team. I will always look at them as Red Star Belgrade. So yeah. Do you want to try and pronounce that? Do you want to give it a go?
Crvena Zvezda. I don't know.
Okay, brilliant. We'll take it.
Maybe.
Yeah. Crvena Zvezda. That's what I'll say. Anyway, Man City. I think they're going to probably make 11 changes and probably win that game 4-0, right?
Yeah,
that's what we're looking at.
If they don't absolutely smash them, then what's going on?
Yeah. They need to take them to the cleaners, but it could be one of the games they make 11 changes and win the game 2-1, something like that. But whatever they put out, they should. Yeah. And Arsenal starting their Champions League campaign for how many years has it been since you've been out of the Champions League? Is it?
I think we were in the Champions League last in 2016, 2017. So what?
7 years. Seasons. Oh bloody hell! Yeah. Oh Jesus Christ! I'm losing time, mate. But no, that's pretty outrageous. And So
glad to be back. Love it. I love the Champions League. Like, it's just this is what the thing. That's like for me. That's the pinnacle of football. Yes, the Premier League's great, and club football at least, that's the pinnacle for me. It's the best teams coming against each other. You can't beat it. So Champions League nights are amazing. Obviously, your night games as well seem a little bit more extra special. Glad we're kicking off with a home win against PSV, a home tie against PSV. Haven't won the game yet. You'd like to think it would be a win. I think we're easing into it a bit. I think we could have had a tougher game to start with. Tricky. Yeah. We're starting away at Sevilla or PSV or Lens away. It's always difficult. No matter who you're playing, but yeah, at home we should be getting a win there. We really should be. It should be fairly comfortable too.
PSV, I think they had a 4-0 win at the weekend. So going into them, they're obviously going to have to coming into good form there. But you should really win that. And I'd be very surprised if you didn't win that game. And you're right. There's these are why we love the Champions League. It's the pinnacle of football, and this is why Manchester United go to the Allianz Arena to face Bayern Munich. Well, it looks like Harry Kane will probably grab a hat trick.
I was going to say, odds on Harry Kane hat trick.
And I'm going for Bayern Munich +6. Actually, what's your prediction for the game then? What do you think the score will be? Arsenal, because obviously
Arsenal. Well, yeah, we'll win. Yeah, 3-0, 4-0.
Okay, fine. And obviously, so man, I would say I reckon Arsenal it'll probably be one of them games where because the players, it's a big night, might get better of them, but I think they'll win the game like 2-1.
I think we're going to be up for it. Like
it's close.
Again, as I said, we haven't played Champions League football for that long. I think everyone at the club is going to be really up for it. Arteta's going to use that to his advantage to motivate the players. So yeah, I'd be very surprised if we don't win that pretty comfortably. I
think you'll win it. I think it'll be more tighter than you think.
What's the handicap? The handicap is only -1 for us, so not massive. I was then going to look at the handicap for Bayern United as well. We'll see what they've set that as. They're -1 as well, to be fair. So maybe that could be a good shout, actually, if you fancy that. Little -1. Bayern Munich win 3-1. That comes in. I could easily see a 3-1 for Bayern.
3-1. You think we'll score? You think we'll score? You think we're going to get across the halfway line? Bloody hell, mate!
All right, well, if you're saying that, then yeah.
what is it +6?
That you can get the good odds on just a -1 handicap, so that could be a good shout. To be fair, That's my
Yeah,
bet.
no.
That's my tip of the week. Gamble responsibly, but that's my tip of the week. Bayern Munich -1.
Okay, fair enough. But I'm going for Manchester United loss. I can see it being 3 or 4-0. And that's where I see it. You know, I don't hold any hope for that. And if we're going to get through that group, that'll be on home wins.
You should get through that group, really. Come on.
No, I can't see it. I just can't see it. It's
What?
just no.
You finish in second. You got Copenhagen and Galatasaray in there.
Do you think the way Manchester United play and the way they're playing at present, we're going to get any results against Galatasaray, Copenhagen, or Bayern Munich away?
It's just be classic United to start turning up in those Champions League games. For me, you're gonna qualify. You're gonna qualify for me.
Excellent. Right. Well, this is why we love football. It's a game of opinions, and I am going to be that Manchester United fan. I don't hold any hope at the minute that it's doom and gloom. Season's done, mate. I'll tell you what, we might, like last season, I didn't think we started well until the Carabao Cup started, because I think like what Man United do is oh no, I'm not going to do it. Can't be asked. Right. Anyway, so yeah, that is our roundup for the week. We've looked at the fantasy football. We looked at the Champions League. The Champions League is back this week.
We haven't player of the week actually.
Oh, okay then. So, who are you going for your player of the week then? I haven't even looked.
I hadn't thought about it.
I hadn't really thought about it, to be fair, either with you. I don't know. Let's have a look. Let's have a little wee look while we're actually sitting here and just. I haven't really got. Do you know what? I'm going to go. My player of the week is. He conceded 3 goals, but he conceded 13. I'm going for Areola because I thought he was brilliant. It's like he could have conceded about 100. But yeah, and what I saw, he was absolutely phenomenal in goal for West Ham, and yeah, that could have been a damn sight worse than what it actually was. So yeah, that's my player of the week.
I'm gonna go Mo Salah. I think he sort of won that game for Liverpool. Pass for Gakpo. Getting the assist for Robertson, and he should have got the assist for the Harvey Elliott, but it went down as an own goal, so it would have been played a huge role in all 3 goals. So Mohamed Salah.
Yeah. Okay, right. So that is this week's episode for you. As usual, hit us up on the Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Tell your friends, tell your nan, tell your gran, tell anyone who likes football. Give us a look, share. That's what we're out here for. And if you've got any opinions and you think we're talking crap, have a comment. Say what you like. That's what we're here for, right?
Just let us know.
Until next week. Catch you later.
Cheers.